still saying the
Yeah.
goal is to get it done. The goal is to change your lifestyle. The goal is to, make the change to become better by any means,
Yeah.
no matter how it looks, no
Yeah.
matter what time it is, because everybody is just being realistic. Everybody's not a morning person.
They said change is gonna cost you.
It's gonna cost you
What
something.
are you willing to pay?
Yeah, it's gonna cost you something.
What are you willing to pay?
Yeah.
If I didn't change, I probably would have never met you. If I didn't change, we probably would have never met and probably would never be married.
Mm.
Cause I had to change. I had to change mentally. I had to change everything about me. What's up, family? It's your boy Jet Lee. Welcome back to another episode of the Load Up Podcast, man. The podcast is here to encourage you, to inspire you, to live your dreams, find your purpose in life, and go and live it. Man, I'm excited. This is episode number 20.
Oh yeah.
And we here. We locked in, man. I'm feeling good. Thank God that we're here today. And I'm here with the best co-host,
Ooh.
my beautiful, smart entrepreneur wife, Miss Courtney B.
Ooh.
What's going on?
Man, listen, episode 20.
Episode 20.
Ooh, you remember episode 1?
Yes.
How long ago that was?
It was a few months ago. We were sitting on the couch over there.
And
And now we moved. We shifted.
now we here. Wow. Okay. I'm
um,
excited.
yeah. What's been going on in your world?
Man.
Yeah.
Changes really as
Yeah.
far as making business changes, mental changes. Um, life been good.
Yeah.
This year, I know I was telling you earlier, this year started off a bit rocky. But just kind of trying to get back on track and figure it out. That's
Yeah.
it. Literally. That's what my life is right now. Figuring it out.
You said the word that we're gonna talk about today, change.
Mm.
We want this episode to be impactful. We want you to lock in with us on this episode, right? So we want to talk about change and when you know it's that time in your life to make a change. We've all been in the crossroad or in a point in our life where we knew that it was time to make a change. The things that we were doing, the things that we were producing, the things that we were getting back in our life, it was not the things that we actually want, right? So you knew that it's time to make a change. And somebody out there today that's watching, deep down in your stomach, in your gut,
Yeah.
in your heart, in your spirit, you know that it's time to make a change. Like the things that you're getting out of life right now is not what you actually want out of life. I'll never forget when I knew it was time for me to make a change. I was about 19 years old, 20 years old, one of those. And the things that I was receiving from life was not the things that I wanted.
Yeah.
I did not see my life like this. Like, you always kind of have a picture of how you want your life to look, or what you think that you may, or you what you think about what you should be doing at this point in your life. And about 19 to 20, I was very disappointed with how my life was going at that time. So I knew it was time for me to make a change. And so in that moment, I fell into depression. And in my depression, I was lashing out at people that love me. I was not the best person um, at that time, and mentally, I was just in a bad place. I used to stay in the bed at 12 p.m. Because I would say it's no point of even waking up. Like, it's no point. I don't have nothing going on, right? So in that time, I knew that it was time to make a change. So from then, I started to build my relationship, or a new relationship with God. And I started to talk to Him on a different level. And I started to actually open up to Him and start telling Him that I was disappointed and not satisfied with my life right now. So I knew that something new had to change. I knew something had to break.
Yeah.
Um, and you may be in that point right now where you know that it is time, that you're fed up, that you're tired of how life is going, and you got to make a change. So the first thing that I did, I started with my mind. I had to break that depression. I had to break that pity party that I was doing. Why me attitude? And once I broke that mindset that I had, that's when my life started to change because I started to change my ways, I started to change my habits, and I started to change um, everything around me from friends to environment to everything that was around me that I didn't like how it looked or how it was going. I started to change it.
Yeah.
So was that, babe? So Courtney, I can call her Bay on podcast, y'all, but she like when I call her Bay. What was that moment in your life when you knew like, all right, it's time to make a change?
Yeah. Listen,
Yeah.
I can tell so many different stories. So, uh, whether it's, when we got together, and
Oh yeah.
I knew, I wanted something different in relationships. I had to kind of change the way I did relationships. But I think the most important thing that really, really changed my life was me changing my mindset around how I saw me.
Hmm.
So, I remember when I went through this tragic, what I see is saw as tragic then, but now I know it's a part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
But something that kind of altered the way people saw me and the way that I saw myself
Hmm.
happened in college. And at that time, I didn't understand,
Mm-hmm.
why the lie was going around, or, why people knew the truth but
Mm-hmm.
still wanted to believe the lie, and which, that happens every day. But what changed my life was me making a decision to change the way that I saw myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see yourself different, it doesn't matter how other people see you. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how or what other people think about you.
Yeah.
And I tell you all the time, one of the best things that I could have done in my life was stop worrying about how people see me and what people think, and allowing people to put me in a box. So
Yeah.
one of the biggest change actually I made, and it feeds everything else that I do in life, was changing my mindset around how I see me,
Yeah.
changing my mindset around how I see my abilities, how I see what God has put on the inside of me, how I see my image, because I know I'm made in the image of God. So
Right.
I'm not less than,
Right.
I'm superior. Um, so that was really, really the biggest thing. And then that feeds everything else. And when you think about change, you think about, you know, not staying in a place that keeps you bound and
Mm.
keeps you in bondage. And I know for me, allowing people to choose how they saw me and let that bleed on me,
Mm.
that was a way of keeping me bound,
Right.
keeping me, in my past. But the moment that I changed my mind about my past and started looking at my future, then I was able to see myself different. I
Mm.
was able to walk boldly regardless of what people think, what people say. They're going to always say something. I know I said earlier, people knew the truth
Yeah.
and they still believe what they wanted to believe, and people are going to believe that anyway. But you make the change to, without a shadow of doubt, no matter what happens, regardless of what happens, when you know you, and you're in because we always change, and I may know myself now at 30, but I'm not who I was at 25. I'm not going to be the same thing at 40.
Right.
But when you know without a shadow of doubt in your mind that you're working on, being who you are and standing boldly in who you are, you're ready to make that change.
Yeah. Um, you can't be afraid to make the change.
Yeah.
And that goes into what you were saying. Right now, you may be in a season and you may be fighting or wrestling with being afraid to make the change
Mm-hmm.
because this is all you know, or
Yeah.
this was what you're so comfortable with being this person that if you make this change, then you may lose friends, or you may
Mm-hmm.
lose connections, or you may feel like you may lose out on different things in life because you're not going to be that same person because you're ready to change. But something inside of you wants to stay the same,
Yeah.
right?
Ooh,
So it's like you have to be able
it's
to,
comfortable.
you have to be able to recognize that, okay, it's time for me to make this change, and I can't be afraid to make the change because on the other side of that change is a better you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brighter future. It's more connections. It's more people that you can meet. It's better friends that you can have.
Yeah.
And that was that was like one of the best moves I ever made was cutting off those people that wasn't helping me grow.
Yeah.
Wasn't helping me change or get better. And so cutting them off and meet and making new friends and being around in a different environment help my change, help my process, right? And so we just want to encourage you. Listen, don't be afraid to make the change
Yeah.
because on the other side of the change is more opportunity. It's a better lifestyle for you on the other side, and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if I really do feel that if you're 25, 30, 35, 40, you can still make a change at those ages, right? There's people that wake up every day and may quit their job and they 35 years old, been on their job 10, 15 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be able to not be afraid to make the change because you know it's something else out there better for you.
Yeah.
And once you want to become a better person,
Mm-hmm.
you'll make that change.
Yeah. And with change, change equals being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And a lot of times we don't want to be uncomfortable
yeah.
because, I mean, just being honest, it doesn't feel good. And I've just fallen in love with the butterfly story. I know, like, I've literally taken on, like, this is my butterfly season. But when you think about the butterfly in that Cancun, and I'm trying to go back to
You can't
Cancun,
cool.
man. When you think about the butterfly in
Yeah.
the cocoon, I can't even talk. What is going on today, Brax? Hold on, we're going to blah, 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 and come back. All right, count me out.
3, 2.
Yeah, but I've just fallen in love with the butterfly story. And when you think about the butterfly in the cocoon, they're comfortable in there.
Yeah.
You're not ready to necessarily break out and be
Right.
on your own now and
Right.
explore. But then when you think about it, and you come out with these beautiful wings, and you can literally go
Mm.
and explore wherever you want to go. If you would have stayed in that cocoon,
You want to make
you wouldn't have been able to get
yeah.
to freedom. You wouldn't
Yeah.
have been able to get to the point where now you're who you are and comfortable with being who you are. You're comfortable with making decisions. You're
Yeah.
comfortable making your own decisions. And no matter how uncomfortable it looks,
Mm.
it's vital. I love when the seasons are changing because, the
Mm.
trees, or when we're coming from what, winter to spring, and you're seeing how the petals on the trees are growing back and the flowers,
Mm-hmm.
are starting back to bloom. Like, that is so beautiful. But do you think they wanted to lose their flowers in the beginning?
Right.
But think about if when originally when they lost them, they had to die first.
Yeah.
The leaves had to die. And then now they came back even more beautiful than before. So when you think about change, you can't stop at being uncomfortable
Yeah.
because uncomfortable will keep you in a place where you're dormant and will keep you in a place where you're mediocre. We don't live in mediocrity.
Yeah.
We do not live in mediocrity. And I think we forget that. It's so much more that's on the inside of us that we have not even tapped into. But
Yeah.
when you get comfortable with change,
Yeah.
you're comfortable with mediocrity.
Yeah. Ooh, that was good. Something came to me while you were speaking. The old you has to die so the new you can rise.
Mm,
The old you has to die so the new you can rise. And it's time to rise up right now, guys. It's somebody watching that they know that it's time to make a change in your life. It's time to rise up. It's time to start reading. It's time to
mm-hmm.
start watching the podcast. It's time to start getting around the right people. It's time to stop eating the wrong foods and start eating the right foods.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to start going to the gym. It's time to make a change, and that's what we really expressing to you on this episode is that it's time for you to be different because it's
Yeah.
more in you. And I always remember just making that change and coming up with load and everything. I knew it was so much more in me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was frustrated because y'all may feel this too. It's like you know it's more in you, but it's just not. It ain't came out yet,
Yeah.
and it's like, how do I pull this more out of me, right? And so, for me, what started was working out. Like it was just something about just getting a good workout in,
Yeah.
and it just brought a new person out of me. So you have to find your first step.
Yeah.
Like, what is your first step? And it may not be working out. It may be reading. It may be talking to somebody. It may be going to a therapist. It may be going to a conference. It may be watching a podcast. It may be something
Yeah.
that ignites that change and that ignites that new you. And you say, okay, it's time to make a change. Change is all around us.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's in the seasons, it's in the weather, it's in the earth. But we know God never changed. Though. God is the same.
Constant. Yes.
But so that's why we love God. Um, so, with being able to change, you got to be real with yourself.
Yeah.
I know you had a moment where you knew, like, all right, I got to be real with myself. I'm playing. Like, I'm not living in my full purpose. And I think that moment for you, me on the outside looking in, is when you was ready to quit your job. Like, you had to be real with yourself and like, all right, you was like, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
I'm tired of doing this. Like, I'm about to make a change. I'm about to start this business. I'm about to be an entrepreneur, and this is the new you now. Like, you haven't had a job in how long?
It's 2 years. April made 2 years. Yeah.
In 2 years. So, like, you had to be real with yourself because you knew you couldn't keep doing that job.
Yeah.
So how important is it to be real with yourself and don't and not be afraid to make that change?
I think it goes back to just knowing you
Yeah.
and knowing who you are. So, when when you gave me the topic and I was kind of like thinking through and kind of just researching on change and what is change and how to even start.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching Sweet Magnolias the other night, and Maddie said something, but it made me think about um, how when it's time to change, we don't make a change because we don't know what we want.
Mm.
A lot of times we don't know what we want to do. Where a lot of times where we want to go, where we want to eat.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't know what we want.
Yeah.
But something hit me the other night. You may not know what you want, but you know what you don't want.
Yeah.
Whether when it connects to relationships,
Yeah.
even when it comes to eating, you ask me what I want to eat, and I can tell you quick, I don't want. But I can't even if I can't tell you what I want. But
Yeah.
we're laughing and I'm joking, but I'm being serious about it. It's something so vital in that because I think a lot of times if we start off with what we don't want,
Yeah.
we won't just accept anything.
Yeah.
When you go in and you're all over the place and it's like I don't know what I want, so I'll just grab at anything. This is important. I'll just get this. But if you switch your thinking and switch your mindset to okay, I know this is what I don't want. So in my relationship, I know I don't want a liar. I don't
Yeah.
want a cheater. I don't want this. Not like if you start off with that at the sign of that, you can say this isn't for me.
Yeah.
When you go for a job interview and you go for a job and you know what you're looking for in the job, you know what you want in the boss, in the pay. If you know what you don't want first, I know that I don't want to take less than this. I know that I don't want to drive this far. You can already kind of do the process of elimination
Yeah.
when it comes to figuring out when it's time to start making changes because a lot of times if you don't know what you don't want if you don't know what you want you will grab anything until you can decide exactly what you don't want and what's not acceptable. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
In my head it made real good sense.
So being real with yourself
Yeah.
allows you to identify what you want and what
Yeah,
you don't want.
Yeah.
So
Even if you don't know though, even
Yeah.
if you don't, because a lot of times I mean, especially we're 30 years old. A lot of
Right.
times we don't really know what we want to do. We don't know, what we want to. I know we know you want to go. Some people, I want to go to college, but I don't know what I want to go to college for.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you're not going for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can think about it that way,
Yeah.
you won't just settle for anything and grab at anything. The
Right.
first thing that look good, the first thing that's shiny, the first thing that, but like an eyelash is cute at you,
Right. or somebody tell you you're cute, you like, oh, I am cute, buy you a drink or
First one,
something,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Take you to get a steak or something.
Yeah, but that's so good, man. And we live in a world now where a lot of things is fake, and I say that on speaking on like social media. Um, you have to be real with yourself and and understand yourself, because a lot of people may not know their self, like their real self, because you haven't even spent enough time
With you.
with just yourself, because you
Yeah.
feel like you have to be somewhere, you have to be attached to something or someone. So it's taking that time out and spending time by yourself and with yourself and alone in solitude, and being real with yourself and saying this is what I want out of life and this is what I don't want out of life,
Yeah. Yeah.
that will help your change process as well. Because I knew that I wanted to be married at some point. I knew that I wanted to have a certain amount of money. I knew that I wanted to live my life a certain kind of way. So I had to be real with myself and say, Jay, well, what you're doing right now is not working. And that was me just being real.
Yeah.
Cause the things that I was doing day in and day out, your daily habits are a sum of your total decisions. I think I said
Period.
that right.
Mm-hmm.
So your daily habits, you got to look at it and be real with yourself. Like, I ain't putting in the work. I'm not
That's
doing.
good.
I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not waking up and going to work out. I'm not waking up eating right, day in and day out. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know that's you right now, it takes one day to change your life. One. That can start today. That can start in the morning. I'm not gonna lie, y'all. I have a hard time waking up in the morning. I'm gonna be transparent right now. I have a hard time. I set my alarm for 6 a.m., 6:30, and it don't work. But that's something that I'm working on, and I am really trying to figure out my why on waking up that early. And I know what it is, but it's just something that's still not my why is not big enough that's getting me out the bed right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being real transparent. So I want to get up at that time. I feel better and I feel good when I know I can get up and go work out and read and spend time by myself, spend time with God. But my day start. But for something, it's just something in me that's just like when that alarm go off, I hit snooze, y'all,
Yeah.
and it's really bothered me. But I'm gonna work on that
Yeah.
because I need to change in that area. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's me being real with
Yeah.
myself. That's me being real with y'all right now, and I'm gonna make that change.
Yeah. And another
I'm
part,
gonna
as
make that
far,
change.
I'm glad you said that too, because another thing, when being real with yourself, when you're making changes, we look at, somebody else saying, because I ain't finna wake up early in the
Yeah,
morning. That's
she
just
not.
straight up and down.
She
That ain't me.
ain't. She ain't trying to. So, but that
However,
ain't the.
right, that ain't
That
me.
ain't your
That
goal.
ain't it.
Yeah.
But what I will do though, I'm gonna get it done because I'm a night owl.
Yeah.
So if I don't be going to sleep at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm definitely not gonna get back up at 6.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is the times may look different, but the goals are still, the same.
Yeah.
So I think when you're being real with yourself, you first have to look at what the goal is and be realistic with yourself as
Yeah.
well. Because if you just know you're not a morning person, don't be trying to set your clock at 5 a.m. knowing you're not gonna get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's real life.
Yeah.
But you may be a night owl. You may be like, I'm gonna set my clock for 10 p.m. and I'm gonna, stop rewatching insecure episodes that I done already watched already before, and I'm gonna get this done. Like it looks different, but the goal is still the same. The
Yeah.
goal is to get it done. The goal is to change the lifestyle. The goal is to, make the change to become better by any means,
Yeah.
no matter how it looks, no
Yeah.
matter what time it is, because everybody is just being realistic. Everybody's not a morning person. When it comes to even eating, I know I've been talking about trying to become a pescatarian.
It's tough.
I'm trying,
Yeah.
but I know that I'm not just going to solely cut out chicken today,
Yeah.
but it's a process. So I
Oh yeah.
know if I can start off 7 days, 3 days, a day,
Yeah.
just knowing that I know me. I'm
Yeah.
being real with
Myself.
myself, baby.
Yeah.
I know I ain't finna be able to cut this out for 30 days starting out. But hey, I can start with 1, 5, 7-ish
Yeah.
days. But I think when you be real with yourself up front and set
Yeah.
realistic expectations, realistic goals, then it's easier to make changes
Oh
because
yeah.
now you're like, okay, that's attainable.
Yeah.
You know, that's just like somebody saying, you know, hey, I'm gonna make $1 million in my business this year,
Right.
but you ain't even made 10,000 in your business this year.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying it can't happen, but that's kind of a so far fetched goal that you
Mm-hmm.
know you would probably yourself feel like, I asked for it, but I don't really believe I can do that. You know, but if you get to a point where you know, hey, you may want to just make $1,000, and anything that's over that, you
Yeah.
know, is better or is
Yeah.
good. You know, so I think being realistic of your expectations of yourself and what you're able to do,
Yeah. That's
that'll
good.
feed the change.
And that's all. That's also saying, um, don't look at the whole process of change. Break it down
Mm-hmm.
day by day.
Brick
If
by
you
brick.
brick by
You used to
brick,
always say that.
yeah. If I know that if I can wake up and just work out this day, that's all I'm gonna worry about is waking up, working out on Monday.
Yeah.
Then Tuesday, you worry about Tuesday.
Yeah.
Then you worry about Wednesday.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do is take it one day at a time. Because once we look at the whole year, you're like, man, you get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And then you don't do nothing. And this, we all been there. You know, you like, man, I'm, like you said, I'm about to stop eating meat, or I want to stop eating this. And then Monday come,
Let's do some chicken wings.
you find yourself eating chicken wings. But you gotta say, hey,
Tell him my business.
I ain't telling you. You know I no, I'm just playing.
He definitely will though.
But you really have to take it one day at a time. And I'm talking to myself like, all right, I set my clock for this time. Wake up at this time, no matter
Yeah.
what, right? And for humans, once we get a routine,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for us to break that routine.
Yeah.
And some of us hard to change. It's hard to change,
Yeah.
but you have to want it more
Mm-hmm.
than you want to just stay the same.
Yeah. Take the risk or lose the change. I always,
Uh,
that's one of my favorite quotes. Take the risk or lose the chance.
Uh-huh.
That's usually, you know what, I take the
I
risk or
see
lose
what
the
you
chance.
did.
Take the risk or lose the change.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times when you stay the same, you know, we always want something better. But then a year been the past, you look like you still in the same position
Right.
because you were scared of the risk. Change costs something.
Ooh.
Change is gonna cost you something.
Ooh.
It's gonna cost you comfort. It may cost you friends. It may cost you
Ooh.
money.
Said something.
It may cost you like it. I mean, I was gonna say it may cost you peace, but it's not gonna cost you peace. It may cost you, you know, some sort of emotion, but it's gonna bring
Mm-hmm.
you peace. Because a lot of times
Change.
when you're making change, it's so vital because we need it. Think about it.
Yeah.
Your body change.
Yeah.
Your body goes through change inevitably.
Yeah.
Like,
Not gonna stay the same.
well,
You get
grab
big,
it every way
small.
sometime. You know, you don't know. But
Wide.
like too much.
Cold bottle shape, you know.
But
Change.
what I'm saying, if you play too much, it costs you something.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's risky.
Yeah.
Costs
Change will
are
cost you.
risky because you don't know if you're gonna get your investment back. You don't
Yeah.
know if you're gonna get the return back. But one thing about change, if you change or you go in the right direction, you're gonna always get your investment back.
Yeah.
You're gonna always get it back because you're going further. You're not afraid to step out and just see what the world has so much more for us. It's
Mm-hmm.
so much life to live. It's so much um, that we can just take part in that we're scared to do because
Yeah.
for one, we may not have seen it.
Yeah.
No one else is doing it. You may not have the support that you feel you should have.
Yeah.
You know, you may not even, you know, you may have an idea and you've seen nobody else do it before, so you feel like, that's too far fetched. No, you can still do it.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost you something. It's not gonna be comfortable, but the fact that you made the change is gonna make the change for those that's coming behind you and on down
Exactly.
your lineage and on down the line. So
Exactly.
at this point, like, you know, when you brought up, you know, when I left my job and everything, like that was a big change.
Oh yeah, that was a
And I would do it again. But I would do it again.
Yeah.
It still cost us something.
Yeah.
It cost, but it didn't cost me more than what I was willing to give up.
Yeah.
I'll say, because I think a lot of times when it comes to change, we don't want to change. our hand is closed, and it's something we're holding on to that
Yep.
may not necessarily, it may feel good, but it's no longer serving us.
Yep.
It's no longer serving us in a way that we still need to hold on to it. Whether it's a dead relationship,
Mm.
whether it's a dead job, whether it's some clutter in your house that you need to get rid of, some clothes you can't wear no more, and
Uh-huh.
shoes, whatever. It's something that you're holding on to that you feel is gonna cost you more than what you're willing to give up. But when you switch it and you think about change is gonna cost me something, but it's not gonna cost me more than what I'm willing to give because I'm going all out for change.
Yeah.
Because I know, what's on the other side of
Yeah.
it is gonna breed so much more than what I'm getting in mediocrity.
Mm. They said change is gonna cost you.
It's gonna cost you
What
something.
are you willing to pay?
Yeah, it's gonna cost you something.
What are you willing to pay?
Yeah.
If I didn't change, I probably would have never met you. If I didn't change, we probably would have never met and probably would never be married.
Mm.
Cause I had to change. I had to change mentally. I had to change everything about me to get that got me to that season. And then when we met, working at Sam's Club, I had to make another change because 3 years went by. So I didn't change. We both,
Yeah.
matured and grew up. And then we met again. And in that whole process of us just getting, being together, we both had to make a lot of changes
Yeah.
in our relationships and, within ourselves. But one thing I love about change, man, is that it shows you what you're really made of. Because in that process, you see who you really are.
Yeah.
You show up
Mm-hmm.
and you like, okay, Jet, I knew you could do it. The whole time,
Yeah.
I knew you can do it. It's in you. Change is in you. Don't be afraid to change. Don't and be real with yourself and make that change today. Like I said, change can happen in one day. One day your whole life can change. But it gotta start right now. You have to make that decision. You have to make that choice and say, I'm ready. I'm ready to make a change. I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of making this type of money. I'm tired of eating this way. I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired of looking this way. Go look in the mirror and be real with yourself. You may not know, but in the mirror, I just stand there and I talk to myself. And I be real with myself. And I look myself
I
dead
did
in the
believe you talking
eyes.
to yourself.
And I say, Jet, you know you can do this. You know you better than this. You know you can make this happen. I'm proud of you. And I go in there and I talk to myself and I encourage myself. Um, but that's just, that worked for me.
Yeah. You talk to yourself for sure.
Kevin Gates said all geniuses talk to themselves, so I'm standing by
So
that.
we have to say what Kevin Gates said with a grain of salt. So
I'm standing by that, man. I also made a good quote on Facebook, and I said, "In a world full of distractions, you have to fight for your focus." Now I'm saying, in a world full of distractions, you have to fight for your change. You gotta fight for it. You gotta want it. If you want it, it's gonna happen for you. Nothing is gonna fall out the sky. I remember I used to think things would fall out the sky for me. That I would just wake up and just change one day. Things would just be different.
you gotta be
Nah,
intentional.
yeah, you gotta be intentional. You gotta sit down and write it down. Then you gotta wake up and put the work in, put the action in. Don't be afraid to take action. And it can be small steps, guys. It's nothing that has to be big. Just small steps each and every day. And over time, it will add up. If you save $10 every week, it's gonna add up at the end of the month, then at the end of the year. So we just encouraging you guys today. Just hey, don't be afraid to take that change. Don't be afraid to change because I know for a fact that if you don't change today, when a year go by in this same time, you're gonna be the same person.
Period.
But if you take that step, don't be afraid. Be real with yourself. a year from now, you can be a totally different person.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
Yeah, and if you're in a place too where you just feel like you don't, out of everything we just said, you're in a
Yeah.
place and you still feel like I don't know what to do, I don't know how I'm gonna take that first step. I know you said that you don't think we would be married, you know, if you didn't make the change. But a lot of times, God changes our heart for us.
Mm.
And you said it. Was it on the last podcast? You know, God will change your tongue.
Uh-huh.
You know, He'll change your tongue. That'll change your heart. So, you know, ask God to give you new taste.
Mm.
You know, if you don't know where to start, give you new taste. And when you get that new taste, ask Him to continue to feed you with it so you won't go back to what you knew. Or that you're able to, like when you start losing people, that you're able to still stand on what you know He said and what you know that He gave you. Because a lot of times we won't be able to change on our own.
Yeah.
Like He has to sometimes take people out of our lives
Yeah.
for us to let go.
Yeah.
Sometimes He has to, you know, make them fire us off the job for us to move.
Yep.
You know, so when you really, yeah, when
Yeah.
you really pray and you really start asking Him to show you and to give you new taste and fresh wind and fresh vision on your purpose and what it is that you are to do and what you're called to do, I truly believe that He'll change. He'll change you. And when He starts to change you, it'll be like, oh, I don't like that no more. I wonder what happened.
Yeah.
He's doing what you asked Him to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even if you wouldn't have changed yourself,
Mm.
because our destinies are tied to each other, He was going to change both of us to
Mm.
still make sure we still got to that same journey.
Mm.
So yeah, ask Him to change your taste, change my taste buds. If
Mm.
this is not what you have called me to do, God, I want more.
Yeah.
I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to feel inferior. You
Yeah.
said I'm the head and not the tail.
Yeah.
So show me that.
Yeah.
Put that on the inside of me where, you know, when I walk out the door every morning, baby, when my feet hit the ground, baby, hell is shaking.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah. You can't change without God.
Period.
You need God to change.
Period.
You need God. All right. So we hope that we said something today that ignited the change, that started the process. Um, Something that we said is going to change somebody today, but
Yeah.
I feel it.
Please.
So we thank you for staying locked in. We thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment to the channel, and let's keep growing. Let's keep changing, evolving, getting better. Um,
Hello.
Load up.
I would have had this so I could do that. It ain't low head.
I'm tipping my head
See
because
y'all
I'm
next
so.
time.
It was good, so I'm tipping my head.
I love you, babe. I like your head.
Okay, thank you. Love you too.